Alrighty, guys, I have good news. I have finally bought the unlimited version of this app so that my videos can be however long I so choose. So I will try to keep these to a minimum amount of videos. I will not be redoing videos 1 and 2 though. So if you are watching this video, please make sure you got the video on how to do question 1 and how to do question 2. You can ask me where those links are if you cannot find them. But first things first, I just want to say that I miss you guys. I feel like I'm finally teaching, so this does make me feel better, but it's not the same without you guys. I hope you guys are remaining safe and healthy. I hope you are being fed with the meals that the school has provided you. If you were unaware that you can go get breakfast and lunch with from the school each day, you can pick up your breakfast and your lunch at the same time. I believe it's anywhere between 9:30 and 1:30. But yeah, so go ahead and take advantage of that. Other than that, I hope you guys are keeping up with your studies. We have been told that we can assign grades that positively affect your grade if you are doing the work. So I know a lot of you are working. So keep it up and keep doing the assignments that I have asked for you, and I will ask for pictures of them, and then I can put in grades that only positively affect your grade, which is awesome. And remember, though, that you are responsible for knowing this stuff because you will have a test when we get back, and I do not have time to reteach, unfortunately. But with that being said, let's just jump right into question 4. I gave you a video on how to do question 1 and 2. If you can do question 2, you definitely can do question 3. They are almost exactly the same with the information that I have given you is the hypotenuse. And then if you can do, I'm going to do question 4 with you, and then if you can do question 4, you can do questions 5 and 6. They are exactly the same. First things first, I just want to address question 5. Question 5 is not different than any of the other ones, but you are probably noticing that you do not have the number 45 anywhere. But I just want to remind you, when I have two angles that are marked congruent means that they're the same. If I have two angles that have the same marking, then they must be the same measure. And so when your options are 45, 45, and 90, you know that your right angle right here is 90. And so that must mean the two sides that are the same must both be 45 degrees. So that is that, and then you are still able to do the rest of question 5. But with that being said, let's go on to question 4. And so the first thing that you are going to do whenever you start any one of these problems is label your 3 sides. So I should have 2 legs and a hypotenuse. One thing you guys are really, really good at is knowing which side is your hypotenuse. So we are going to find our right angle. And then remember, we go across, 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 and that side is my hypotenuse. Sorry, it's so hard to write on this. I promise I will get better. So that side is my hypotenuse, and then that must mean that my other 2 sides are my legs. So here's a leg right here, and here's a leg right here. With that being said, if you are wondering where I got this from, we are going to scroll up a little bit to our reference angle. So leg, hypotenuse. And so also the next step after you label all 3 sides is to label whether they are x or x times the square root of 2. So remember, according to our reference angle, each leg is equal to x. And so this is x. And then our hypotenuse is equal to x times the square root of 2. I have not mastered writing small on this yet, so I'm going to probably write all along this bottom part right here. So when you finally have everything labeled in your triangle, you are now going to look at the information that I have given you with the sides. So the only thing that you do know is that the length of the hypotenuse is equal to 6. And so let's write down what we know over here. We know that the hypotenuse is equal to 6. But you should also know another thing about the hypotenuse based on your reference triangle. So all the time in these problems, you are going to take the side that I give you for this problem. So in this problem, I gave you the hypotenuse is 6. And you're going to compare that. And by comparing, I mean you're going to set it equal to the information I've given you based on the reference angle, the reference triangle. So the reference triangle also says that that same side, the hypotenuse, has to be equal to x times the square root of 2. So let me say that again. Each time after you've labeled everything, you're going to take the information I gave you. I only gave you information about the hypotenuse. So let's think about everything you know about the hypotenuse. You know that the hypotenuse is equal to 6, but you also know, based on the information you have here, just look at everything you have written here. Everything you have written. You also have written that the hypotenuse is equal to x times the square root of 2. How do I know that? My reference triangle that I made you take notes on up here says so. Okay, and so we're going to set the two things that you know about the hypotenuse equal to each other. So 6 is equal to x times square root of 2. And this whole time we need to know what x is. We need to solve for x. So I would, in order to solve for x, I need to get x by itself. So I'm going to take x and I'm going to divide both sides by the square root of 2. Because in order to get x by itself, I need to get rid of this square root of 2. And so I need to apply the inverse of multiplication, which is division. So over here now, I have x is equal to, hold on one second, x is equal to 6 times the square root of 2. Oops, that is not what I have. I'm so sorry. 6 is equal to, x is equal to 6 divided by the square root of 2. Sorry about that. And so I taught you guys on Thursday that you are not allowed to have a rational in the denominator. So I have the square root of 2 in the denominator, and this square root is the issue. So I need to get rid of that. I know we haven't been in school for a while, but don't forget about all the notes you already have on this stuff. So if you look on your notes, I believe on page 6 or 5, we talked about rationalizing the denominator. So we need to get the square root out of the denominator. And so in order to do that, I'm going to multiply both sides of the fraction, both the numerator and the denominator. I'm going to erase that x. I'm going to use times, so times. I'm not going to use x because it's confusing that we're solving for x. So times both sides, the numerator and the denominator, by the issue. Remember, the issue is the denominator has a square root. So we're going to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by the square root of 2. And then cleaning this up, 6 is on the outside of the radical, and square root, the 2 is underneath the radical, so I can't combine those, so I'm just going to write them next to each other. You have notes on this stuff. And then remember, the most important part about rationalizing the denominator is going to be that when you multiply two square roots that are exactly the same, so I'm multiplying the square root of 2 by the square root of 2, remember that those two square roots cancel. So this goes away and this goes away. And I am only left with the number that's underneath the square root. So I'm only left with 2. And then if I were with you guys, which I wish I was, I wish we were all in class doing this, I would ask you my favorite question, which would be, if we were taking a quiz and I put this as my answer, would I get full points? And you, being the awesome students that you are, you would say no. And I would say, why? And you would say, because I can simplify 6 divided by 2 nicely. If you're ever not sure, just put those two numbers that are outside the radical in your calculator. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So this side is equal to 3 times the square root of 2. That is what x is equal to. It looks like a lot of work, but I promise once you guys get more comfortable with this, you will get quicker at this. But x is equal to 3 times the square root of 2. And now we're even thinking, what even was x? But look back at the original problem. We had to solve for the missing sides. So we had to find our legs. And legs are what is equal to x. And we just found that what x is equal to. So x is equal to 3 times the square root of 2. And that means both of my legs are equal to 3 times the square root of 2. So I want you to try questions 5 and 6. And they are exactly like this, where you are solving for the hypotenuse and you need to rationalize the denominator. And then I will post on Teams on this link for Thursday. Thursday's lesson is just going to be to repeat today's lesson just with my videos now. And I will continue to do my own videos, so that helps you. And I want you to check your notes, and I want you to try questions 4 and 5 and then check your answers with mine. All right. Please remember that you can message me anytime on Remind or Skyward or Teams.